Come to your gardens this winter. There's plenty to do, both inside and out.
Hi, I would like to encourage people to visit the Royal Botanic Gardens, Sydney and Domain this winter. During your visit, take time to consider how this magnificent site could be improved for future generations to better meet the needs of visitors, not only from Sydney and New South Wales, but from right across the world.
For horticulturalist David Laughlin, winter is the best time of the year at the Royal Botanic Gardens, Sydney.
Well, for me it's the change of the season. I'm from the Northern Hemisphere, as you might be able to tell, and we've got very distinct seasons, whereas in Sydney, we've got winter and summer really. Looking at it, I find some of the deciduous trees quite amazing. You can see the framework of the branches whenever they don't have their leaves, and yeah, I like winter, probably my favourite season in Sydney.
There are natives flowering, banksias, wattles, eucalypts and more.
There's a few things flowering around the gardens in winter. Obviously we've got a lot of clivias and they come out and flower, and they're spectacular orange flowers all through winter. Some of the camellias are starting to come out. We've got quite a collection of camellias as well in the gardens. We've also got quite a few azaleas, and they're quite spectacular in Sydney in winter.
In winter, mushrooms flourish, and there's nothing magic about these. Here's one of Australia's foremost fungi experts.
Most of the year round, the fungus will be under the ground, in this particular case on Armillaria, growing on the roots of a tree, in other cases just growing on various bits of organic matter, and so everything's happening underground, and it's just this time of year when the conditions are right, the temperatures are right and the water conditions are right, that you'll get these mushrooms appearing above ground, and the spores will be sent out to find a new place to colonise.
Mushrooms can kill trees, plants and us.
I really recommend that unless you're with an expert who really knows what they're talking about, knows each individual species of mushroom very, 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 very well and with a great deal of knowledge, that you don't eat them, because many species are toxic and cause very nasty illnesses and in some cases death.
The Botanic Gardens restaurant is a popular stop-off, and the winter roasts are to die for.
So the roast is it's a rotating menu of pork, lamb, whole roast chicken, turkey, and that changes every week. But then with that you've got lovely roast carrots, onions, potatoes, gravy and Yorkshire puddings.
You can't beat the freshness. Some produce is sourced here.
We're lucky in the garden, we've got the Aboriginal range around here, so we get to use lots of things like native banya nuts and greens sourced from without the garden. Davidson plums, just some really hearty indigenous products, which is good.
The Blue Mountains Botanic Garden in Mount Tomah is amazing to visit in winter.
Mount Tomah changes in the winter time here. The mist that rolls in through this valley and fills it with fog and mist makes it quite mysterious. You could stand here and look at it for hours.
The flowers are in bloom.
Mount Tomah, one of our most beautiful places, is right here in the Brunette Meadow. We have our daffodils. There's over 70 cultivars here, ranging from white, cream, yellow and pink, and they just burst into a sea of colour here.
The trees are a spectacle at this cool climate garden.
About 40% of the trees here at Mount Tomah are deciduous, and this opens up the garden a lot and broadens the views. It also opens up the canopy, which provides a lot of light for those perennial layers and such as bulbs, which are starting to flourish during winter.
There are loads of things to do inside too.
Apart from the stunning flora of the garden in winter, visitors can experience a number of indoor facilities as well. Our visitor centre has an a la carte restaurant. There is an exhibition which will be on throughout of winter. The World Heritage Exhibition Centre has some interactive experiences down there as well, of course with our garden gift shop.
People of all ages won't be disappointed.
For adults during winter we have the Blue Mountains Film Festival. It's a 2012 encore screening of those that made it into the finals for last year's festival. And for children we have Wallamai Warrior Adventures, which is an active performance that kids can get involved in as well.
You can tie the knot at the Australian Botanic Garden in Mount Annan or see the knot sculpture. Here's dry stone walling expert Jeff Duggan.
So behind me is a sculptural installation called The Knot, and this was funded by the Friends and Foundation of the Botanic Gardens. It came about, an idea was to create a wedding arbour or avenue in this section of the garden, and I was given a brief of, can we do something a little bit more creative than put a large boulder in the landscape and fix plaques to it.
You can learn about this ancient craft. It's labour intensive but very practical.
What we learned to do is we're going to build a retaining wall to retain this embankment here. So we're not only building walls, we're also learning how to turn something like this into something like that. And if you want to know how to do that, you'll have to attend one of my workshops.
All this activity is sure to work up an appetite.
We're doing some hearty soups, some house-made pies. We've also got an orange and wattle seed bread and butter pudding, which we're utilising a bit of the native produce for this winter special, so it's worth getting down and giving it a try.
The garden is getting better all the time. Now a major regeneration program to rid the land of African olive is underway.
We're controlling olive on site here because it is a threatening process that impacts negatively on the ecological communities of native plant species on site.
If only these things didn't cost so much to control.
Here behind me is an example of an area that we have had the olive understory cleared. The olive was 5 metres in height, heading from just in front of me there, a couple of metres, down through the eucalyptus mollicana native canopy and towards the grassland there. The approximate cost for olive removal in the initial treatment is $10,000 per hectare. On this site we have close to 60 hectares of olive to treat, and across the Sydney region there are 4,000 hectares, approximately 4,000 hectares to be treated. We're looking at a total of $40 million to treat all of the African olive in the Sydney region.